There we go. Hey, welcome back to the OrbisX Off the Clock show with Marty Hill from Pints of Polishing Podcast and hyperClean products. Everything you need and those things that make your car shiny and clean. So where can they find you, Marty?
hypercleanstore.com and hyperclean store on social. Best way to
That's
go.
it.
Updates. No, Shawn. Right now, the website ain't doing so great.
Oh,
And social ain't doing so great. And that's the connection. So apparently we're having a hard time with Facebook getting our location mixed with our website, mixed with what's our utility bills and all this stuff that Facebook has to verify. I've been shut down for like a week. We have zero Facebook marketing, zero Facebook. I mean, if you're not spending with Facebook, we all know that it just, then your normal stuff goes away. So the amount of views we get have like plummeted. Everything's being plummeted. Everything sucks right now.
Oh man.
What business is still rolling? People have the app and they order off the app. And I mean, we're still rolling, but our social integration with the website is completely dysfunction. I mean, the last photo I did with them was, I've sent them every single thing, and now it's like, listen, here's a fucking website photo. Like, how the fuck? I mean, you got utility bills, you got website. I've sent them every single thing you could possibly imagine. They just keep denying it, and I have no idea why. Like you go onto Facebook, and you absolutely get zero chance to talk to somebody. If you eventually get to a chat,
the support
it's a bot.
Yes.
And that bot, when it doesn't help you, you can finally say, all right, here's what I want you to tell a human. And they say, well, if we think that we'll get back,
exactly.
And then conversation goes cold. You never get another mark that they've looked at it. Nobody ever.
It's true.
My latest I'm trying is I went into the Facebook Meta Business page and somebody posted a photo. And I was like, cool photo. So Meta Business goes, hey, thanks. Oh, by the way,
it's a good workaround.
Respond to my fucking messages, please.
Yes, exactly. But you know what? This is a good point because, and we've talked about this before, but a lot of people put their eggs in one basket, in terms of, you haven't done that. And that's my point here is that, like, because you've communicated with your existing customers, and you built an app for them to come back and, like still order and stuff. I get this a lot when some people are, oh, I don't need a website. I have a Facebook page, and it's like, yeah, until you fucking don't.
Facebook goes, oh no.
Exactly.
You have a new policy and you can't do like.
Exactly. And like, even now the Google ads, they're rolling this out. I think it's the due date is May 14th or something like that. But every advertiser now has to identify themselves because they're trying to reduce spam ads and stuff like that. And so like for us, like we have an advertising agency, so we just put it under there. It was quick to verify for us because of that. But if you're an individual, you're going to have to go through a lengthier process. Like you got to upload like driver's license or passport, bunch of shit. And it's going to put your name underneath the ads, so people need to be aware of this. That might impact things. So my suggestion for anyone listening to this, if you're a detailer and you don't want your name to appear underneath the ads, spend the, $50-$60, whatever it is to get like the doing business ads, like a separate thing, so that you have that piece of paper to upload to Google. And then you can put, whatever your company is, flawless detailing or whatever, and that'll show up under your ads. So a quick little workaround, but that's coming in May. So yeah, like we already did all our verifications with Google, but yeah, you can't put all your eggs in one source, man. You got to be omnipresent, because if not, then see, that's the reason you've made yourself recession proof.
Well, good thing we've been on TikTok at least. I mean, I started telling people to get on TikTok years ago, and it's fun to see detailers get on. They've been creating really great videos. And I laugh and I'll go, great. The brands have now finally made it. You're 2 years late. Like, way to go. Good job. But other brands are starting, but that's even on social. It's good to diversify. You got to have stuff on multiple platforms, and you can't keep putting the same thing. You can't take the same photo and you can't take the same video. Like you have to put things on different platforms. And then you also have to have, all the other stuff, as website to backlinks to Google to YouTube. I mean, it's a lot. This is what I think we're going to talk about a little bit today, right? Like
it is
all that goes into a business, and should you just work for somebody, right? Like we got an email is a customer of mine that has bought some stuff, And he said, here's the chance. I've got a guy that's going to basically be closing the business that he's been working for. And in a sense, wondering what to do. Do I go start my own? How do I do this? Right. Like, so you sent over some questions, right? What were those questions? Let's go through some of those answers.
Sure. So I sent over quite a few questions, and it was things about mostly like what he's doing right now to try and identify what he plans to do. And so I'll dive into that. So I asked him things like, what kind of services he's doing now at the shop that he's working at, the one that's closing, to figure out like, because for example, let's say he's doing PPF or something like that, right? Well, my answer for whether he should branch out on his own or start a shop is going to be different, because it's like, well, how much capital do you have? Like, can you afford to stock paint protection film right now? Can you buy a plotter? Do you have a shop to do this in? It needs a controlled environment. There's a lot of variables there. So I asked them those kind of questions, as well as things experience based, like have you ever managed employees before? Have you run a business before? Let's start there. And then one of the big ones, though, I think, was the why. Understand, like, why do you want to, like, why is the solution, if you're losing a job, it just kind of makes sense to do the lateral move and get a job elsewhere, because you had a job, you're missing the job, so get a job. If you were working the job and the guy wasn't closing the shop, would you still want to start your own shop? Like, was that a dream that you've always had? And so you're missing that aspect. So figuring out the why is really important, because without that why being answered, like if you just need money for next week or something like that, go get another job. Simple.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's start. Let's before we jump too far. Right?
Sure. Yeah.
We'll start chasing rabbits or squirrels, and we won't ever get back to that. Right. So basically, the first thing would be, have you prepared? And I want to give this guy a big round of applause for not just stealing the customers.
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
Right. It's a thing that there's many of us as detailers, we fear. We fear the hiring of people and training the people, because we fear that they will just leave and start their own thing and they're going to take customers. And as somebody who has been through that,
sucks.
10, 12 years ago, there's a guy that literally was working with me and stole all the customers. The money stopped showing up and just stole it outright.
Jeez.
It's not fun. It is not fun to deal with.
Yeah.
So kudos to, first of all, kudos.
That's true. Hats off for that, man. Definitely.
Yeah. For being honest, for being a honest human. Because
and that
the
right
guy
there
that
is
did
the
it to
quality
me
you need in business.
is not an honest human being.
Yeah. It's the off the clock show. He's a piece of shit. But I know what you mean. But honesty is definitely, like, those kind of characteristics. It does tell you something about him, that he has a foundation for business, because you do have to be honest. Like, part of owning a business is accepting responsibility for when shit doesn't go right. We all hope, like, oh, I'm going to start a business, everything's going to go great. Sometimes bad things are going to happen, and you have to be able to own up to those, especially when you're dealing with customers. But employees too, you have to be able to own up to it and say, like, holy geez, like, could be something simple, like maybe you were late with a paycheck for a staff member. Own up to it. Don't be like, oh, well, it's because your bank account's like this or something. No. Just be like, you know what? Slipped my mind, dude. Won't happen again. Done. So you have to have that fabric built into you already to succeed in business. To be in business, you just have to have a pulse. To succeed in business, you need to be made from a different kind of cloth. And I think that's what my questions to him, the questionnaire was trying to figure out, is what's the fabric? Like, who are you? Because I don't know this gentleman. Like, he just sent over an email. I know you guys know each other, but he had sent over an email, and I said, hey, listen, here's some questions I have. And it's what I would go through for when we're hiring somebody. We ask some of those similar type questions, because I want to find out what this person's intentions are. Because when I hire an employee, I look at them like I'm buying equipment. Like, I'm purchasing an extractor. How many hours am I going to get out of this piece of equipment? And what's their intentions? Are they here to, remove salt and debris, or are they here to cause me headaches? I need to figure out who they are. So you have to ask certain questions and quickly to figure it out. It goes back to the whole sell me this pen thing. You got to find out instantly what that person's, and what their makeup is. So yeah, kudos for not stealing the customers, for sure. But that does bring up an interesting point, because there's two options I saw initially, which was one, get a job, two, start your own business. But there's a third option, take over that guy's business.
There's a third option. Take all the customers and not start a detailing business, start a ceramic business.
Yeah,
I think it's hilarious how many ceramic coating companies came from people stealing customers from somebody they worked for and creating their own ceramic coating company off the customer database from the original people that they worked for. multiple. And you look at the owners, you look at what they say, and you follow back shortly 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, whatever. They took a customer database from somebody they were working for, and now they want to sell you a coating that's not actually a coating. They want to sell you something that's not actually right. Oh, was it because they're not honest human beings for the first? And how important is that in business? Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, super important, because that list will dry up eventually. And then how do you get your own list if you're not a decent person? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, yeah. And I think too, another thing is shortcuts. You got to avoid shortcuts. Like, shortcuts like that, it'll give you a short temporary burst, you know, but it's the same as, you could do the same thing by offering details for $25. Yeah, you're going to get a ton of phone calls, you know, but is that sustainable in the long term? And I think that's the same with shortcuts. Like, if you take someone's list, how long are you going to be able to sustain your business if you haven't developed those muscles for following up and gaining customers and, you know, acquiring people and advertising and all these things? If you haven't developed those muscles, when it comes time to battle, you're going to lose, because everything you've done is shortcuts. And unless you find another shortcut, you're going to be dead in the water, right? So, but man, that's crazy. I didn't know that it was so prevalent like that. That's nuts.
It's something that every detailer fears in hiring, and then it is something that does happen. And there's actually brands that I know your people that listen to this or follow OrbisX, 100% guaranteed some of them have used ceramic coatings from people that literally left another ceramic coating company, took all the database, and then started their own brand. Wow. So the fear that so many of us have,
industry wide. Jeez. But, and it is a fear, but there's a lot of fears, I think, in business too. That one plus millions of others, that's where you have to take a look at who you are and assess the why you want to get into business and start your own shop, because you're going to have to deal with, like, that's just one issue of many. You know, you're going to have 100 other problems compiled onto that you're going to have to deal with in business. And you got to figure out, is this something that I'm cut out for? So if you have some business experience, something like that, you might have a leg up.
So I guess the first thing we would tell this guy is first, I guess, understand if you should be in business or shouldn't. Is that?
I think so. Yeah, I think, and it's mostly, I think a part of it is the, why do you want to do this? That would determine whether you should or shouldn't. It's not so much like external factors that are saying like, oh, you can't do this because, you know, it's not like going to the roller coaster and it's like, well, you know, the height requirement is here and you're here, so you can't do this. You can do it, but it's, should you do it? Because if you don't have that drive to do it, the passion, like there's got to be a reason why. Because if you can make money working for someone else, or you can make money working for yourself, you've got to figure out if, like, what do you want? It's got to be more than money. It's got to be, you want to build a business for some other reasons. Because if it's just to get a paycheck, put food on the table, stuff like that, well, that's why jobs exist. But running a business is to offer you something else. It's, you know, the satisfaction of building something yourself, the potential to earn more money faster, because you can earn more money at your job. Absolutely. All you got to do is talk to your boss and say, look, I want to start upselling, you know, like coatings like crazy. I'm going to, you know, buy some of Marty's products and we're going to like upsell those on every car that comes in here, but I want to cut of the action. That's just part of a conversation. And your boss may say, you know, like, screw off. He might tell you yes, you know, and that's going to kind of dictate your direction from there. But I think that you have to figure out the why you want your own business first. You know, like for me, it's the freedom. I like the flexibility I have. I like the fact that I'm the one that's in control. I don't have to ask somebody, you know, like, oh, I want to go on vacation.
Also, apologies.
No,
man.
No. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
Do you think people should also look and see if it's in their DNA?
Mm-hmm. Like 100%.
Like, because there's plenty, their why, right? Somebody's why could be, oh, I don't want to work for somebody. I want to be my own boss. And there's a lot of us in the industry that have that theory, right?
100%.
Like, I just want to be my own boss.
To some degree, it definitely is in your DNA. 100%.
Okay. So so being your own boss doesn't necessarily translate to being in my DNA. That's just I can't stand somebody else telling me what to do. I know everything. I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Versus the ability to network, figure out problems, solve things, have patience, have peace, have drive, have everything it takes to go into running and owning and operating a business, not just a couple years in the prime economic time to ever open a detailing business, but to actually do it in the drier times as we're moving into.
100%. So like for me, I can't imagine not being in business. I just can't envision that life. For me, it's the creation of things, watching them grow, being a part of the growth, being able to make the ultimate decision. And I also like employing people. I really do. I know so many people are scared of it. I love it, man. You know how much satisfaction, like knowing that we went through COVID and so many families had food on their table, a steady, reliable paycheck every single week because of these things that I've created. That to me, like that fills me with so much joy. Some people they like to help out at soup kitchens. Some people like to just, donate money online. For me, it's providing people with financial stability. That brings me like so much satisfaction. And I can't imagine life a different way. So that's how I know it's just in my fabric, like it's just part of who I am. And the fact that I'm always looking for more and like searching for something else and stuff like that, it's just who I am. I know that about myself. I've had deep conversations with myself at times when times are shit. I've been like, oh man, why am I doing this? And it always comes back to like, well, I'm still doing it though. I want to do it. I get up tomorrow and I'm just ready to fight the next battle. And there's good days and bad days. And it's just kind of rolls into one. When you know that like you have a decision to make sometimes where it's like, do I go to my daughter's recital? Or, I could go to the office for a couple of hours. When you're contemplating that, it's just in your DNA. Obviously, I make the right decision. Go to my daughter's recital after the office.
I was going to say, I missed the recital and I went to work, man. Like,
so here's the thing. I go to the recital.
So many soccer games. I missed so many practices. I missed a lot of ton of shit.
Oh, it is true. And like, so me, like right now, usually I'll work like 12 to 14-hour days. But then like weekends, I'll usually take like Sunday off, something like that, stuff like that. But it is something that becomes just a lifestyle, But me, I always calculate my hours. So I'm like, if I go to this thing for like 2 hours, whatever, it could even be a dentist appointment. Doesn't matter. If it's 2 hours, that 2 hours is getting made up somewhere else because I know it's the consistency that's what's going to get you to the end goal. I know that it's consistently showing up. It's that whole story of the guy that wanted to lose like 300 pounds. And so he started going on the treadmill and he was running a minute a day. That's it. Just 1 minute. And, his buddies were like, bro, you're never going to lose like weight doing that. And he was like, you'll see. It's about the consistency because it's just me showing up. I need to show up. And then eventually I'm going to stay on the treadmill for 20, 30 minutes. But he's like, if I go for 30 minutes, I get discouraged, I get burnt out, whatever, I give up, then I'm not developing that consistency. And so me, same as you, it's like, you have to do these things. No one's telling you, right? Like no one tells you, hey, Marty, you got to, show up and you got to miss, this soccer game because you got to do some work. You just know this needs to be done for the business to succeed. And that's how it's in your DNA, I feel. Like I don't look to my business partners and be like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this. Let me just, send this over to them to get done. I don't complain about who does this or that person's doing more than me and this. It's just stuff that needs to get done. You get it done. And if it's something out of your wheelhouse, you hire someone to do it and it gets done. But it's just you just keep pushing forward. And I think that's where a lot of people, I hear them complain, I'm running a business, I have a business partner, but like he's not like pulling his weight and stuff. Well, have you talked to him about it? Well, no, so you're just complaining about it. You've got an employee mentality. Like they complain about the work each other does. You know what I mean? Like not a business owner. We would just sit down and be like, oh, fuck, man, you got to like put on your work boots, man. Let's get this done. It's that's how what's in your fabric.
All right. So this guy, like many others that are in the industry, they're working for somebody. They're questioning whether or not they should open up their own shop. We want to dive in to give them, beyond just our own maybe you should just go work for somebody, right? Like, let's go dive into his struggles, what he's dealing with, how we can help him, because I imagine there's hundreds, if not thousands of other people that are in the
I imagine. Yeah. And I think that I would do two things. So just, if we just like for a second transplant ourselves and we put ourselves in that situation, there's two things I would do instantly, and then there's a third thing I would do, and I'll get into those. So the first thing I would do instantly is I would start applying places, other jobs, because reality is that the current one that you're at is time limited. So if it's closing down and you're going to need a paycheck of some kind coming in, I would start that process, because hiring people takes a long time from a business standpoint. And so getting hired takes a long time too. I know it's like, I should just get an interview and I can start tomorrow. In a perfect world, sure, but a lot of places there's, paperwork that has to be done. There's a delay before you get a paycheck. There's all kinds of shit that has to be done. So I would start that process, even if your goal ultimately is to open your own shop. That's okay, because you can always turn down employment. I would at least start getting those offers out there. It keeps you busy, keeps you motivated. You feel like you're getting something done too, so you're not getting discouraged. That'll also give you a feel back from the marketplace, and it'll let you know if every single one of them comes back and is like, we're not hiring. Maybe there isn't a lot of work going on. That could tell you a few different things. Could tell you that maybe it's saturated where you're at. Maybe there just isn't work. Or it could tell you that those businesses aren't doing a very good job, and that's why they're not growing. So there's actually a massive opportunity for a shop. So it's kind of like you're doing market research at the same time as securing your financial, situation as well. So that's the first thing I would do. Second thing I would do, I would start investigating who I am and what I want to start. So I would take a look and see whether you're the person that could run a business, should run a business, while at the same time start thinking about things beyond what you're going to call it. Who cares what you're going to call it right now? A lot of people get hung up on that. Like, I got to make a logo and a business name, and they spend a lot of time on that because they're scared to take the next steps. Forget all that. That can come later. That's the easy part. Focus instead on some market research. Take a look at the dealerships that are out there. See if maybe you could approach some of them, start working with them. But the third thing I would do is I would talk to the shop that you're working at now, and I would ask the guy about some sort of succession plan. Like if you could take it over. And like, I'm not sure exactly the reason why he's closing. Do you know the reason why the shop is closing, going out of business, or not sure?
No, he just said the only thing that he said was, and this is what's interesting. They've been chasing this high ticket price, but suddenly
I do remember that part. Yeah.
Suddenly the owner has decided that he wants to go off in a new business venture. So he's going to close this one down.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
If that owner was making a shit ton of money off these high ticket prices,
close that.
Would you ever close down a business that was making a shit ton of money off of high ticket prices?
Hell no.
No.
In fact, I wouldn't even close it down if it broke even, because I would find ways of.
April of 2022. Why now the high ticket price owner is deciding to close? Not even keep it open and give this guy a percentage. Nothing. He just wants to go off in a new direction. Okay, good for that guy. He saw the market where it was at in an industry. He went in and opened a business in an industry. He capitalized on the industry influx. And as soon as the industry's starting to crater, he's doing it like the stock market, and he's selling.
Exactly.
Kudos to him. He already made his money.
He made his money. He's done his thing. And he has no interest in trying to rebuild a different business model, going after the other stuff.
Well, he has no interest in now struggling through.
Oh, if he stays at those high ticket prices,
bingo.
He's
no
gonna
interest.
Be for a rude awakening.
No interest whatsoever. Listen, we're getting phone calls. I've got people that are interested in distribution, and I'm talking to them, and they're going, hey, we've been doing, basically it's this same thing. They're the owner, and they're going, we've been doing these high ticket prices, but we're listening to the Pints of Polishing podcast. We've heard, and now it's happening. Our phones are dying. Our sales are dropping. They don't understand why the high ticket, high correction, multi-layer, lifetime, whatever, all that bullshit of $1,500, $2,000, $4,000, $5,000 ticket prices.
Drying up.
Why they're drying up.
Yep. It was bound to happen. Because what happens with balloons when you blow them up too much? They pop.
It's also right. The exact
There's just not enough
that
market to support that.
There you go. It's the exact same thing analysis that we just took of this business owner. He saw an opportunity, he capitalized. When the opportunity's cratering, he's not invested into running a bit detailing, but he probably hasn't really cared about detailing. He's not passionate about car care. He just saw an industry that was skyrocketing during a really great time in the market.
Jumps on
made
board.
sense for him as an owner to invest in, capitalize his money back out, but he's jumping ship now. So for everybody else that loves car care and loves what we do, if you have listened to the wrong people over the past couple years, because they told you if you get a certification and suddenly you got great qualities as a detailer, you can charge this amount of money. No, it was the economy that justified it. Now the economy is going in a different direction and suddenly you're burnt out.
Yeah. And that's where you have to be able to adapt quickly.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have even been in business anyway.
This is true. Well, that's why I think that guy, for him, it was just an investment. It was more.
Exactly. He was the smart businessman who just invested.
Yeah, 100%. And see, remember our podcast last week or 2 weeks ago, I was talking about there's 3 different types of people about entrepreneurship. And there's some people that are owners, some people that are employees, and then there's also investors. And so that's where sometimes just being an investor is a good thing. So for this guy, I think he needs to figure out the employee I'm talking about, he needs to figure out who he is and what part he wants to be in that. I think that if working, because one thing he did mention to me was that a lot of the other shops he was applying to or thinking about applying to, there's a couple problems with them. One is that they don't pay very much. Second thing is he said they treat their employees terribly. And then the third thing is it's completely different from what he was doing because he's used to doing the high-end coatings. That's how he said it.
So let's talk. I'm so glad you brought that up. And
I remembered. See?
Yes. Thank you. Because we should take our hat off on the other side too, because this is what's so cool about this problem that this guy sent in. This is what's really cool. And when we dissect it, not only do we get into what, this multi-layers and everything where it went in the economy and all that, right? Then we move into a very, very common issue for somebody that is running a detailing business. They just simply don't run it like a good business. They just don't. They don't pay their people the right thing. They don't know how to see this opportunity with a kid or a young guy, or I don't know what age he is, that has the skill set. He's been doing this. They can't see that this guy could make him, the new owner, a really great, more successful, right? Whatever venture
100%.
he wants to push himself into, because somebody's got skills and he's qualified and he's talented. If I could bring him into my already business and just put him over here and just funnel a lot of work to him, that guy's going to do really great business for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's the problem? Oh, the problem is I don't know how to take care of people. I don't know how to pay people. I've only known certifications and, I can only do this and we're great at polishing paint. Great. But you don't know how to take care of people.
It's true. They haven't spent time on the company.
You don't know how to
culture.
sustain yourself. If you can't take care of people, then you don't know how to sustain yourself. And this is no pot calling a kettle black or me throwing mud or any of that. Like it's trust me, hard to take care of people long-term,
true.
and keeping people. It's extremely difficult. It is so hard.
Yeah.
The funny part, like when we talk about, when normally we say, hey, I know we jumped into this because we were running a little late. I know you got to go pick up your daughter. Like normally we have this thing where we go, right? Like what happened this weekend, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at Sam's and I see this little sweeper thing that normally comes by and cleans stuff up.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's fucking beeping. And I'm like, I'm not really paying attention, but I can't get, what the fuck is this beeping?
Yeah.
I look over at this thing and it's kind of stopped because somebody was in its way. I was like, huh? I'm like, start looking at it, like, where's the person? Maybe that's why it's beeping.
Yeah.
Nope. It starts moving. I go, what the hell? Why is this thing moving? There's nobody in it. Like, I have like 2 seconds of what the fuck is going on here. And then it's got cameras all around it.
Okay. Yeah.
Not only is this thing sweeping,
yeah,
but it's going around and it's taking inventory.
Oh shit.
Because I read the little tag that's on it.
Yeah. Jesus. That's crazy.
What the hell? Like, fucking shit's changing. If you don't, you don't take care of people, what happens next?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
man, that's
if you don't know how to take care of people, then it's just going to have to keep going technology.
Yeah. It's got to be
going to have to go into something taking over.
Robotics taking over the whole cleaning aspect of it or something. Yeah. And that's where, like, there's some things that people just do better than robots.
Well, and there's things that robots technology does better, right? I mean,
100%.
OrbisX can take over a lot of the bullshit that you don't want to deal with, so that then you could take care of some people. You could work on your cars. You could take care of 100%. That stuff. You could take some stuff off your plate. And that's what, I mean, you're a technology kind of guy, right? Like,
absolutely.
What is it that OrbisX
cyborg stuff? Like,
what is it that you can do that really helps take care of some stuff off of people's plate so that they can do some other stuff that they really want to?
100%. Well, one cool thing that it does, like my guy Joe, he's great. He does all our bookings, stuff like that, but he can't call every single customer to confirm their appointments sometimes because there's just too many of them. Can't reach them or stuff like that certain times that he calls. So what OrbisX does is it'll call the customer on our behalf, and it'll play them a message and say, this is a confirmation from OrbisX. Well, it says the company name, like whatever, So in our case, this is a confirmation from Auto World. You have an appointment on, January 26th at 2 p.m. Press 1 or say yes to confirm your appointment, or push 2 to get in touch with our team, right? So then if they say yes or push 1, it automatically confirms it for us. And then we get a notice that the appointment's confirmed, right? So that happens automatically for us. One less thing that Joe has to deal with. Does the same thing for like reviews, asks them for reviews, follow-up reminders about like someone gets their windows tinted. Within 5 days, we let them know, hey, you can roll down your windows now, it's safe. Or we say like, after 30 days, if there's any bubbles, come back, we'll fix them, whatever, stuff like that. Those are all things that Joe would normally have to do. But in this case, the system handles it for us. So that saves us a ton of time, and it allows Joe to follow up on those extreme circumstances. Like if someone calls in, oh, I can't make my appointment this morning, sorry, I got into a car accident. Well, Joe can now take the time he has, and he can go in, stop reminders, so that person that just got in a car accident isn't getting a reminder saying, hey, your appointment's in an hour. And then he can also call them and say, like, hey, just wanted to check in. It's Joe from Auto World. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Like stuff like that. So he can do the part that the robot might not be good at, and let the robot do the stuff that's just mundane that can happen all the time. And so that's where utilizing things like that can really help in a business. And that's where, do you need someone to go around and take inventory? Probably not, if you can do it with cameras and a robot. But you will need some people that are going to, be the face of the company, to talk to customers. And so that's where, but you got to treat them right, by saving in a lot of other areas, by setting up, robots or technology, things like that. You can now devote more time to those employees. And so maybe you need less staff, but pay them properly, treat them well. And that way you're going to get more stuff done because you've invested robotics and automation in the right places. You can't ever fully automate your business 100% in most cases, So
let me ask you this, Shawn. Let's go into, this guy sent out a resume to AAA Auto Detail.
All right, top of the list. Nice.
AAA Auto Detail should hire him and go, wow, he's got great skills, great quality. Like, I should bring him in. And then what should they do with OrbisX to take some stuff off their plate so that they can really dive in? Or could they hire somebody in that's got really great skill set and corrections and applying some coatings? Could OrbisX then just, take over their marketing and market towards a specific install of ceramic coatings so that they can funnel more business to this guy so that then he can actually sustain their business further, grow their
100%.
business.
Yeah, 100%. And so actually, I'm glad you brought that up too, because a big feature that a lot of people use and they've had so much success with is the automated upsells. So they'll book people in for detailing, for example, hire some guy on, or they start doing coatings themselves, things like that. And the system will actually upsell the customer before their appointment, as well as during the booking process, and basically get them to buy into coatings, or, you know, if they do tinting, PPF, whatever it happens to be, but it'll upsell for them. And that whole process brings in more money. It's automatic, so they don't have to do anything. And then the guy can just finish the work. It gets added to the appointment. But there's other ways too, like doing the intake, for example. So a lot of the members, they use tablets and they do a walk around of the vehicle. They, you know, check off any damage, things like that. But on that form, there's also an upsell section as well. And you can inflate the prices. So you could make everything 2 times the price. And then there's a little discount box. So you can give them a discount on the spot. You can say, hey, listen, and we're going to do this coating for you if you want. It's normally $4.99. We can do it today for $1.99. And then you can punch in the discount and they can see it right there on the tablet. And that, oh my God, I'm getting this huge discount. But really, you just inflated the prices. So it's just a good sales tactic. But so there's things like that through the whole sales process that OrbisX can really help out with to make more money so that the business can support the staff properly and pay them right, you know, with commissions. So there's a big focus on upsells and the marketing side of things, but even just follow-ups. So it does lead follow-up automation as well. So someone can come in from your Facebook ad, get automatically added to the system, and then you don't have to follow up on them. The system will follow up on them and say, hey, listen, you still interested in this? And you can set a different message for each number of days since that person came in as a lead until they buy. And so it'll just keep following up on them to convert that customer. So there's all these things. So if I was going into a new detailing shop, I would actually pitch them myself and OrbisX. I'd be like, listen, I'm bringing this technology along with myself. I'll set it up for you. I will get you hooked up. You're going to make more money. And I want $25 an hour. I don't want the 18 that you want to pay me. I want 25 an hour. Plus I want 30 to 40% commissions. And that's how I would pitch myself. I would say, I'm going to set up the system. You're going to make so much more money as a business owner. You're going to be happy I didn't tell you 50 an hour, because you would pay 50 an hour, but I'm only asking you 25 today. You know, that's how I would pitch myself if I was going in. And then I would implement that, and I would use that time, that opportunity, to see how the sales side of it is going as well. Because if he has experience doing the work side, I would see how the sales side is going as well, to get a feel for the business end of it. You know, like, do I want to run my own business? Or maybe he can make a shit ton more money just working at, you know, another shop, but doing it the right way. And especially if he's going from this high ticket, low volume to something that has high volume, all you have to do is get those ticket prices up, you know, by adding on services, adding on coatings, glass coatings, you know, like rim cleaner, whatever, add on all kinds of stuff. You can raise the ticket price and make a lot more money because the volume's there. So that would be my approach.
Let's, I guess I feel like I want to give this guy a specific answer, I guess, to his overall question. Should I start my own business? And if I should, how should I go about doing it? You know, everybody's going to have different circumstances. For him, you definitely got to ask your owner, how can I use the past years that I've been working for you to continue to better my life? You know, if he's okay with giving you customers, if he's okay with you starting to reach out, you know, we've had on episodes, we've talked to people that, you know, they might've been working for a car wash, and car wash was changing ownerships and going in a different direction. That car wash told them, hey, you should take care of yourself. You should figure out what you're going to do next, and gave them time to go make a choice. So whether or not you're in that situation of, you know, the business is changing hands or the business is closing, or you're just an employee that is not happy anymore, doesn't want to work for this place anymore and you want to go start your own thing, that overall is the question is, how do I start my own thing? Doesn't matter if I'm a guy that's working for somebody that has a list and has customers, or I'm starting from scratch. Listen, I got into the industry from scratch. I was working for outside of the industry. I wasn't even working in the industry.
Jeez, yeah.
So how do you start a company? How do you start a business, whether you've got a place you're working for or not? Because there's a lot of people that are unhappy working for somebody else. That goes back to your why. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why? And I go a little bit past the why to what makes you happy. What do you really want to do the most?
Yeah. And if you love your weekends, don't start a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, for example,
if you love security of a paycheck, don't start a business.
Yeah.
If you like working 9 to 5, don't start a business.
It's true. Yeah. And those are some serious questions. And that's But
Shawn, like, this guy might have seen these high ticket prices. Then he saw his pay. Some people might go, hey, I'm a $15 an hour guy, and I know my place is making X amount of money. I heard it all the time going into dealerships as I was growing a distribution company. I would go into dealerships and listen, I would take people pizza. I would cook people lunch. Like my customers, I would cook them lunch and go take them lunch.
Jeez, that's amazing.
Sit around with all the detailers that are cleaning cars, feed them, hang out with them, give them a break to have some really good food, get a little break of their work, and you just start talking.
Yeah.
These guys are making $50, $60 a car, which is a flag hour. That's beyond what a $10, $12 an hour guy that was doing down at a local car wash or at a local detail shop. Detailers inside of dealerships can make a lot of money if they're on flag hours.
For sure.
They can.
Yeah. 100%.
And some of them do really good, but they see the bigger ticket and they go, but I want that big money. That's what I want to make, the $300 instead of the $50.
It's because they're not factoring in everything that goes into getting to that.
So that's the other last part that I thought it would be interesting to dive into is, does it necessarily mean that suddenly you make a lot more money? No. So what is it that you're happy about in life? How do you do that?
Yeah.
Does it mean that the money brings it? Might. I don't know.
It's true. Because
money might bring you that happiness. It might.
It's true. Because the skills he has, maybe he would do better if he was selling coatings. And I mean, like the actual, like the product to detailers. Maybe that would be something that actually brings him more joy and more money. Who knows? He could be like a traveling salesman. Like it's hard to say. I think people sometimes when they're in a job, they think, okay, I got to start my own business, and it has to be in that exact same field and position that I was in. But sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you could branch out and then return back to it. But I do think that the high ticket prices, like I wonder sometimes, like Nick, he'll roll up to our shop and he's driving his G-Wagon. We've had some of the guys, as soon as Nick leaves, because he doesn't go to the shop often, he'll leave, and then they're like, I was thinking about, my commissions, and I think I want to get a little more. And it's like, listen, like, you don't understand, like, what it took to get to this level and what the risks we have to take and the investments we have to make. You don't see a lot of the behind the scenes. And so, like, especially during COVID, there was some months where, our shop was consistently busy, but there was definitely some months where it wasn't as busy as it would have been if we didn't have, like we had a convoy here with trucks blocking off half the city. We had, mandates where businesses had to close. People couldn't leave their house. It was definitely not what it should have been, right? And so we had to assume all that risk and the expenses of bringing on customers. And sometimes you spend a lot of money bringing in customers and you don't actually get customers sometimes. Like sometimes Facebook's down, as you said. Like we've had our Facebook account have issues as well before. We had to wait till it was restarted back up, find other ways, like pump in Google, stuff like that. But there's all these things that you can't look at the ticket price and be like, oh, I'm going to start doing, like $4,000 a car. I'm going to be rich. When really let's say there's, you make 40,000 that month, but there was 36,000 in expenses, but you still had to do all the work. So it's like you did all that work for $4,000, but maybe you were making $5,000 before. So it's like you're actually losing money by being self-employed. So there's months that'll happen like that for a lot of people, you know. And then there's some months where you're going to knock it out of the park. You're going to make 20 grand in a month, and maybe for someone they've never made that before.
So overall, what's your answer? Like,
my
read all
answer,
this guy's stuff. What's your, what's your
I'm
overall
biased.
answer?
My answer is always start your business. And the reason that's always my answer is because you can always stop and go get a job. Jobs are plentiful, but the worst thing is that if you feel like you have that itch, until you scratch that, you're going to go work at a job and you're going to hate the place for the wrong reasons. And you might end up screwing up an opportunity at a good job because you've got this idea in your mind that I have to start a business. I got to start a business or I'm not successful or whatever. So take the time, and I agree, sit down and figure out what makes you happy. And then if you're starting a business falls in there, try starting the business. And then at least then if you do backpedal and go get a job, you're going to see the opportunity in that job, and you're going to understand that job a little bit better because you would have seen the business side of it. So maybe you won't look at that, you know, the ticket price or what the boss is driving or the fact that the boss leaves early on a Friday. But for all you know, yeah, he's going to play golf for an hour, but then after that, he's not going to see his kids until like, you know, midnight because he's doing paperwork and shit like that for the business. You're going to see those kind of things. And you're going to be have a deeper appreciation for the job that you do have. So but I mean, hey, I also do think that your business is going to do amazingly well because you have the skills. And if you have the drive, like what came across in the email, like I'll say this, we've had other people reach out, ask us questions. We send the questionnaire, and it's like a weekend goes by. I don't hear from them because they were enjoying their weekend. That right there told me it's like, well, yeah, you're an employee. You took the weekend. This guy, he sent the questionnaire. I sent it to him on a weekend because I'm self-employed. I fucking work weekends. And then he sent it back to me. He was like, just on my way to the house, going to be at a computer. I'll send it back to you in like an hour. I figured, okay, we'll see. I'm expecting to get it Monday, right? So I told him, no rush, talk Monday. He sent it back to me literally an hour later. So I read it, wrote him back, gave him some advice. We had a conversation, stuff like that. And that told me something though. Like if you were willing to prioritize that conversation, like we're not being paid for this conversation, but neither is he. He took time out of his day to pursue this information because he wants to make that decision. So I do see that drive where he did something that was uncompensated towards this goal. And I think that showed me a little of his fabric, right? So
yeah, that is great analysis because it is true. He not only did that with you, he did it with me. Right.
Yeah,
so
see, exactly.
It's definitely in his, that's where I go back to DNA.
Yeah.
He's at least professional. This is something Nick, my business partner, and I, we talk about, like, what it takes in the industry to be professional isn't much.
No,
there's so many people.
The bar.
There isn't much in this industry on being professional. It really isn't. So when you see people just respond to emails on time, like you go, wow, you know, that is professional.
The number one thing I get all the time is that it's like, Jesus, I send Shawn an email and he responds back in like 2-3 minutes, you know? And because I pride myself in my response time. I don't like people waiting for responses, because look at your experience with Facebook right now. Like if you had to recommend a platform and someone was like, what's Facebook support like? If I have a problem, you're gonna be like, look, man, run for the fucking hills. It's brutal. And that's the whole thing. I never want people to have that experience with myself, with OrbisX, with Auto World, with anything. So even our shop, that's one of the things I'm big on. Response times have to be like our live chat. If I see that, because I get an email, if a chat hasn't been answered in a certain time, I'll jump in the chat and then I'll message Joe and be like, yo, what happened? And he's like, oh shit, you know, I was just finishing this and that up. I'm like, don't let it happen again today. Done. And that's where I leave it. And then he's like, okay. And then the rest of the day he's on it, you know, but that might seem like a silly thing to do, to like, I'm the boss. Why am I jumping in this chat? I have all this other stuff to do. To me, that's important. It's the communication. So it's just in my DNA to do that. And that's kind of what I saw with this guy. So yeah, I hope he gets a chance to listen to this and
me too. I mean, overall, you're gonna tell him to jump. I'm gonna tell him to jump too, man. Like, you never know. You're right. You never know. And I hear nonstop about people when they get older, they just have regrets and regrets of things that they didn't try.
they missed those shots that they didn't try for, you know, like,
well, they missed the shots because they never took it.
yeah, that's
Right?
true. And
You know, there's
you
that,
miss all of
there's
those
that,
that you don't take.
there's that old hockey saying from that one dude, right?
Wayne
Like,
Gretzky, yeah, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Well, shoot your
so,
shot, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
shoot your shot. I did the same thing, man. I
Yeah.
took my shot and I jumped. Like I'm gonna
Yeah.
recommend he jump too, and recommend that you get quickly with
Yeah,
OrbisX so that a lot of that shit gets taken care of that you don't know how to
Absolutely.
deal with, and you get an accountant, pay the accountant, get a bookkeeper, pay the bookkeeper, use
Yeah.
QuickBooks.
Oh,
use
that's
the
another
QuickBooks
option there too.
accounting. Use whatever you can to do
Yeah.
all the things that you don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
how to do, and you got to pay. The same
Yes.
as you had a problem with some people don't want to pay you, you got to now realize you got to start paying people, and it might not seem friendly. There's some of this stuff that you go, God damn, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then do your homework and go find somebody that you think is going to do better for less money, but make sure that they're going to do better for you. Right?
Exactly.
Like somebody fucks you on your accounting, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
It can be
right?
real
Like,
bad.
this is real bad, right? So there's all this stuff. I'm going to tell you to
Mhm.
jump to, but I'm also going to tell you to make sure you go get your stuff handled. I ran sometimes without insurance back when I was mobile, back in 2002, 3, and 4. Like, and I
Yeah.
ran a risk.
That's
Ran a
dangerous.
big
Yeah.
risk.
Mhm.
Don't run that risk, right? Don't
Yeah.
do it. You know,
It's true.
there's a lot of things that it goes beyond just you going, all right, do I want to run my business now? I've been working for this business. Now I want to run my business. You can
Mhm.
do the skill set of polishing and applying a product definitely define you as a business operator, entrepreneur. No.
Mm.
Should you try? Yes.
Yes.
Could you fail? Yes. Should
Yes.
you quit? No.
No. Exactly.
Until
Yeah, that's
you
right.
just can't, right? Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right? Some people are just going to quit. They
It's
never
true.
really should have been doing it in the first place.
Those people usually get burnt out, right?
They get burnt out. Yeah. Motherfuckers. Burn out.
just to revisit.
April of 2022. Phone's dying up. I'm burnt out.
What? Like, I don't get it, man. I'm not a candle, so like I'm not gonna burn out. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna wake up every day and go 10 times harder. It's that simple, you know.
No,
But
I'm gonna figure it the fuck out, is what I'm gonna
yeah,
do.
exactly. You know, like it's just one way or the other. It's getting done. Absolutely. So, all right, Marty, awesome. So I think the title of this episode is gonna be "Shoot Your Shot." That's what it's gonna be.
Shoot your shot.
Right on. So that's the advice. But this was a great chat. Honestly, anyone listening, you could be in business right now also and thinking about quitting. This might be something that helps you reevaluate and gets that push to keep going, or maybe find someone to take it over and you could just work the business while they run everything else, you know? So a lot of options, but yeah, and hopefully this guy listens to it as well. And once you do make a decision, you shoot your shot, you know, follow up with us. Let us know which direction you went. Cool. All right, Marty. Well, always pleasure. Appreciate it. We'll see you next week as well. Have yourself a great week, great weekend, and hopefully we have more funny stories after next week. We'll see what happens. All right, man. We'll talk soon.
Hey, bro.
All right. See you.